a big part of my life. I can't even imagine how different my life would be if I never stepped foot into this sanctuary. Reflecting back, it's really hard for me to think of my first memories here, considering I've been coming here almost my whole life. But I do have fond memories of the old portions of this church. I remember the old winding staircases that led up to the balcony of the dining room, and I remember being in religious education classes and being chosen to go up to the dining room to get the cookies and the juice for the snack, and then going back to the old classrooms. And I remember the last time I walked through them before the old building was demolished. When I was younger, I didn't necessarily enjoy going to religious education classes, but I did learn a lot of information that has helped me. As I got older, religious education classes did get more fun. I mean, who else can say that they had a Simpsons curriculum at their church? It was always one of my favorite things to tell people at school, and it was always interesting to listen to people's reactions. About half the time, I would get the response of, "Wow, your church is so cool. I wish my church was like that." And the other half, I would get the response of, "Your church isn't a real church." And that comment always frustrated me a little bit, but I always saw it as a challenge. Whenever someone would say this to me, I would promptly explain how our church respects the inherent worth and dignity of every person while providing a safe and responsible search for truth and meaning. They would usually glare at me, and then they would follow up by asking what our church believes in. And my response probably confused them even more, as I would explain to them that we aren't taught to believe anything in particular. Instead, we're taught to respect everyone, and we encourage others to discover their own beliefs. When I was a freshman, it was my year for OWL, and I was very excited. I didn't know much about what the class would be, but I was really looking forward to it. I remember when my mom told me that the church wasn't going to be able to have the class because there weren't enough youth to join the program. My mom knew I was disappointed, and she knew how important the curriculum was. So we made a list of people we could recruit to be in the class. Somehow I managed to convince my friends to take a sex ed class at my church. I don't know how that sounded appealing to anyone at the time, but we gathered enough people to have the class. Everyone from my class still talks about the fun memories, especially the odd wood carving. I have had other people from school tell me how they wish they could have been in this program because they realized that the information we learned about was valuable and it was in a comfortable setting. I also have fond memories of the youth group sleepovers. I will never forget the top of our mountain with the Sorensens as we played games in the dark and had a campfire and told stories and had lots of fun. The lock-ins were always fun because my team always won at playing capture the flag. And I'll never forget the first time I went to see the catacombs. Josh Wright was waiting for us and the small door opened, and as we pointed the flashlight in, he jumped out and screamed at us. I was okay with it though because I was fearing bats. My freshman year, the Degregorios introduced me to the UU Youth Cons. These cons were where 200 UU youth from around the Midwest crammed into a church to stay for 2 nights. I quickly learned that these cons are very fun. It was an amazing experience to see so many people my age who were UUs. It was just a very different experience. These were the most unique and accepting high schoolers I've ever met. Going to con was such a fantastic experience for me because I got to go out of my comfort zone and meet amazing people, and it was absolutely worth it. My sophomore year, I joined Proud Theater, which meets once a week here at church. Proud Theater is an LGBTQ theater group, and I'm so glad our church supports this organization. Proud Theater mentors Larry, Greg, Jeff, Jim, Julie, and Danny have been so amazing, and it makes me so happy to know that they have joined our congregation too. Proud Theater and the UU Church have taught me how to better respect people who are different than me. The people that make up this church have really been what shaped my amazing experiences here. Paul Beckel was an amazing minister here, and his children's stories at the beginning of the services were always memorable. When I think of Paul, I imagine him doing all the gestures that go along with the song Spirit of Life, and he always led us in song wholeheartedly. Additionally, I think we can all appreciate Lori coming into our church and helping us during this interim period. I can't even begin to list all of my religious education teachers or the volunteers that organize different events, but I definitely want to thank all of them. I especially want to thank Samantha Masterton for always keeping the religious education classes running smoothly. Samantha was always ready to help us plan youth group events, and she even chaperoned them too. She always gave the youth control in what we wanted to do and how we would make it happen. As you've probably noticed, I'm the only graduating senior from the church this year. With a lack of people in my age group, we were unable to have a religious education class this year. I was upset at the beginning about this, but as we tried to make it work, it was a little awkward sitting in the balcony with only an advisor and Isaac and holding hands. So I've enjoyed occasionally sitting in on the services instead. As I head off to UW-Milwaukee this year, I know that Universalist Unitarianism will continue to be a part of my life. Even though I may not attend Sunday services every week, I will still always consider myself to be a UU. I'm so happy I could be part of such a beautiful church full of such caring people. Thank you.